Hi, third graders. It's me, Mrs. Fenters. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday so far. I wanted to take a minute and check in on you and give you a chance to hear my voice a little bit here. But I also wanted to take a minute to talk about one of our reading skills that we're working on this week, and something I want you to look for today when you read Brothers at Bat. The story this week has a lot of examples of something called figurative language. And if you take a look at this poster, you can see that figurative language is just a fancy word, a fancy term for talking about what authors do to create special effects and feelings in their writing. Okay, so figurative language is kind of the umbrella for a couple of things that we've already talked about throughout this year, but we're going to take a really quick minute to review some of those techniques that authors use to make their writing interesting. So let's talk about those real quick. You can see there's 4 of them here. Let's zoom in on the first one. Okay, we talked about this one last week when I was reviewing writing with you guys, and I talked about how you can use sound words to make your writing interesting, and authors do that all the time, and that's called an onomatopoeia. Take a look at that spelling. Holy cow, onomatopoeia. Say that 3 times fast today. That's a word that imitates the sound of what it describes. So if the author is referencing a tire popping or a balloon popping, they might use boom or pop, okay? If somebody is sneaking down through a forest and they step on a stick, they might hear crack. Telephone ringing, they might say ring. So that's called an onomatopoeia. You can use that in your own writing, but authors do that to create imagery in your mind and make you feel like you are actually there in the story, okay? Let's move on to the next technique that authors use falling under figurative language is called alliteration. And alliteration is a sound device used to repeat the same sound over and over again, okay? So sometimes an author will use alliteration when he wants to repeat something over and over, and when he or she, want to make something really important in the story, and maybe they might even come back again and again and keep repeating that same phrase, and usually it will have the same sound. So for instance, in this sentence, Sally sent Susan some samples of soup. That's an example of alliteration, okay? We've talked about she sells seashells by the seashore. We've talked about that in class before too. Those really get readers to remember what the author is saying. And so sometimes an important piece in your reading, they will use alliteration, okay? Let's move down to imagery. Imagery is just kind of fancy for describing how something looks, sounds, feels, smells, or tastes. Think of your 5 senses, guys. And we've done this activity a lot in our own writing when we try to beef up our sentences. So I've had you guys write sentences before, and then remember we've taken a little wimpy sentence and we've turned it into a nice, meaty, strong sentence by adding some details. So instead of saying I bit into the apple, we can say I bit into the juicy, sweet apple. We could also say I bit into this juicy, sweet red apple. So when we think of imagery, think of the 5 senses, okay? Taste, touch, sound, feel, okay? I said touch is feel, but how do things sound? How do things taste? How do they feel? Okay, those are imagery type items, okay? And the last one is personification. And you can see the word person in here, okay? So personification just gives human qualities or characteristics to an animal or an object that otherwise wouldn't have that characteristic. So in other words, look at the sentence. The moon follows me when I walk at night. Well, this is the question we ask ourselves. Is the moon really following her? No. Does it seem like it's following her because everywhere she looks, it's above her head? Yes. So the author gives the moon human qualities. And this helps, again, the reader to be able to visualize when the girl is, say, walking through a dark street at night and the moon keeps following her. The author might want the reader to feel a little spooky or eerie, and that's why we sometimes give those kind of characteristics to unhuman things, okay? So while you're reading Brothers at Bat today, I want you to do me a favor. I'd like for you to practice looking for examples of all of these things, okay? Onomatopoeia, alliteration, personification, and imagery. See if you can find some of these examples while you're reading. You don't have to write them down, but maybe you'll just make a mental note, okay? You'll put a little note in your mind and say, hey, that's a sound word. That's onomatopoeia. Mrs. Fenters talked to me about that. Or, oh, wow, the author just used alliteration. The author just used the same sound over and over again. That must be important. So try to keep those in mind as you're reading today, okay? I hope everything's going well. I am here all day, so if you need me, send me a message. Have mom or dad shoot me a message, and I can help you with whatever you need. Also look for an email to come out about our Zoom chat on Thursday. I'll be anxious to see you guys again. All right. I miss you, and keep working hard, and we'll talk soon. All right. Bye.